All right, you know what? Forget the script. Forget the background. Forget everything. All right? I've tried to write this like 3 times, and I'm way late because what's even the point anymore? Like, what do I have to talk about? This is for chapters 55, 56, and 57, and I have nothing to talk about. Why do I even keep doing these? Every time they take one step forward, Kaito just does wibbly wobbly, timey windy, and then we go back to the status quo. But you know what? I'm here. I've set out to do this. Let's talk about what happens in the chapters, even though, preface, not a lot happens. Since it's been a while, let me just catch you up to where we have been, because actually this entire year has basically all been one big event, with breaks and how long this has been stretched out. Let's just go over where we were, okay? So Sakura and Xiaoran were on a date at the Botanical Gardens, and also Akiho and Kaito are there. And again, I'm telling you, it's been a whole year, and we've been in these gardens. Anyway, the big cliffhanger, Xiaoran tries to actually out Kaito, and Kaito freezes time, and then we see that Sakura is immune to the magic. But, surprise, she's actually not immune to the magic. She was just really quick to cast Siege before the magic took hold. So she's trapped in her little protection bubble, and Kaito is just standing there, a little dumbfounded that Sakura was able to actually act against him. What happens in this scene in the time distortion realm? Nothing. They have a quick little chat, and then Kaito's like, well, time to, fix everything. But Sakura tries to be proactive and uses transfer to put Kaito in the box. The problem is that, again, Sakura is not immune to time magic, so she just put herself in the frozen time. And now everyone's trapped. For a whole page, Kaito is able to reverse time from within Siege and put everything back. But here's something I was kind of right about. Even though Kaito was actually able to rewind time, which I figured he might not be able to, what he wasn't able to do was erase Sakura's memory of the event. So, when Sakura comes back to herself, she immediately calls Xiaoran over to her house and reveals that she had an interaction with Kaito. And that leads into chapter 56, where Xiaoran reveals that, yeah, he knew the whole time, but he wasn't able to tell her. And Kiro also reveals that he was in on it, or rather that he knew a little bit of what was going on and being told to not tell Sakura about it. And this, of course, leads into the problem that I'm really kind of having with ClearCard in general, which is once again asserting that Sakura does not have agency in her own series. You have several characters that are openly keeping the plot from moving by retaining information from her. I've joked to some people that Xiaoran is the Tuxedo Mask of this series because he really doesn't do anything, but he's actually worse. Tuxedo Mask helps Sailor Moon. Xiaoran is actively holding the plot back. And yes, I give him credit for the fact that Kaito cast a spell on him to keep him from being able to talk about Kaito. That's fine. But Xiaoran was able to act earlier before that spell. And also, he was sent to Tomoeda with some coaching from Ariel. We still do not know what Xiaoran knows that he hasn't revealed yet. There's information, presumably, that he knows that was given to him by Ariel. There were instructions from Ariel that he is still following that we don't know, I'm pretty sure. Like, there's still stuff that we just don't know about what Xiaoran is doing, and he's actively holding the plot back. And all of this that I'm saying about Xiaoran wouldn't be bad if Xiaoran wasn't magic. If he was just the boy, which is very common in shoujo manga, you just have a boy who's just there for emotional support. And that's what Xiaoran is. He's Sakura's emotional support in this series. And that would be fine if he didn't have magic. If he was on the same level as Tomoyo, as just a non-magical support character, I wouldn't be as annoyed. But Xiaoran should be helping more. Or again, at the very least, not actively holding the plot back. So, it is actually with great optimism that I say that Sakura finally decides to take initiative in the series that is named after her. It is Cardcaptor Sakura, and she finally decides that it is her time to step up and actually get something done. And the something that she wants to do is to try and find out any information about Kaito through Akiho, which is a smart move. She doesn't know that Akiho is magic, but obviously Akiho is close to Kaito, so any relevant information about him could potentially come through her. And she specifically tells the boys to sit this one out. This is a woman's job. She's going to make the moves, and well, she actually says that she wants Akiho to come to her, but I think, the idea is that she's going to try and coax it out of her, gently, because this is Sakura, and she's not going to do the good cop, bad cop thing on Akiho. But guess what doesn't happen? We don't find out anything useful. You know why? Because we still have the play that Naoko is writing as a major plot point. Again, this series has gone on for so long and accomplished, honestly, very little. We haven't even captured a clear card in a while, I don't think. I think in this entire year's worth of chapters, which has only been about 7-ish in this whole year, I think, I don't remember if a clear card has even been captured. I think she made time. I think that was this year. She made the time card. Still not the one that Kaito wants. He says as much at the end of chapter 57. She still hasn't made the card that he needs. What's the card he needs? There's so much information that I fear is going to be just a big info dump at the end of the series, which, admittedly, that's kind of how CCS ended, at least with the whole Ariel thing. Like, that's sort of how the series ended. Yeah, I feel like it's just going to kind of crash all at the end. Like, we're going to get a very large amount of exposition at the end to explain everything. Kaito's backstory, Akiho's backstory, Kaito's master plan, which I'm still banking on the idea that he's going to try and give Akiho magic using the book. Speaking of the book, let's talk about that for a second. At the end of chapter 57, we get something very important. Kiro and Suppi do something proactive. They ask about the book that Akiho has. So they look at it, and surprise, surprise, the two magical creatures are familiar with the book. The Alice in Clockland book was briefly held by Chloe Reed, and then he got rid of it or lost track of it or something. The book apparently has a mind of its own, or probably rather the book has Momo's will in it. So it just moved along because it couldn't use Chloe. So great. We learned one interesting thing about the book. That's not really enough to justify anything, but that's kind of where we are. At the end of chapter 55, 56, and 57, that's really all that's been accomplished. There is this nice little meeting between the Guardians in their real forms. I think this is maybe the first time we've seen Ruby Moon and Spinel Sun in, their true forms. We've just seen Suppi and Nakuru. So it was nice to see them. In a week's time or so, the next chapter will drop. That'll be chapter 58, and maybe I'll be eating some of my words. But until then, like I said, I'm a little tired of the wait. Maybe it's just the modern age has ruined me on waiting for chapter details, but I do feel like the series is not making a lot of progress. And even when it does make progress, Kaito's probably just going to rewind it. Hey everyone, this is the outro. Now I'm recording it a little bit after the higher energy part of the main video. Thanks for sticking with me to the end here. I've been sitting on this video for a long time because while I may be playing it up a little bit, the pace for the series has actually become a little bit exhausting. And while I do like making the videos, it's hard to come up with a video when not a lot happens in the plot. But thanks for sticking with me. If you want to read the series, of course, it's available on Comixology. Support the official release, as I say, because that's how we're going to get a Season 2 eventually. Ideally, we'll get a Season 2. And the Season 2 will fill in all of this stretch with better filler. I'll see you in the next video, which hopefully won't take until next year to make.